Alright guys, so last but not least is the reading portion. This is where a lot of you guys get tired. This is the lengthiest part of the test, I would say. You read up to 5 texts. And so, I do ask that you stay as true as possible as you can to not just this, but the strategies that I've taught you all year long. This will yield success. And I know it's tiring, I understand, but it's just 5 hours of your life. And then you hopefully don't have to do it again. Freshmen, you'll do it again next year. Sophomores, you're done. Anyway, so what do I do here? Going back to our multiple choice test taking strategies, please make sure that you do skim through the questions. And I know this is something we maybe didn't necessarily practice too much throughout the year. But because I always, I give you the questions as we read, but this is definitely something good to do as before you read it when taking a test. Very different than when we read a text out loud in class. Anyway, skim through the questions so you are better prepared to read. And I did mention this when we were doing the multiple choice tab. Sometimes you'll get the character name, sometimes you'll get vocabulary you're going to get tested on, you'll get like figurative language, and so it's good to preview that stuff so as you're reading you might not necessarily remember it, but it will stay in your subconscious and you'll pick up on that, something that you're not aware you're doing, but it's still happening. Step number 2, and we always do this in class, so this is your highlighter will become your best friend here. Look at the title, obviously, or titles. If we're dealing with informational text, you'll have multiple titles. Sometimes you'll have subtitles. More often than not, you're going to get a text with a picture, cartoons, a graph, and you guys will get questions on that. You will get questions on that. And then most importantly, dates. And I'm talking about dates like in an article, right? When was it published? And so by that kind of leads me to my next step. By identifying all those things and looking at all these things, then I can identify what type of text I'm reading. So this is where our acronym, our good old acronym PIE, comes into place. Are we reading nonfiction or fiction? I always have you guys identify that. And if I am reading nonfiction, is it persuasive, informational? Obviously, if I'm reading fiction, I'm being entertained, right? So very important that we identify that. Again, all of this is better preparing you to read it. We haven't even started reading it, and we're just building on that background. Step number 4, finally read. So we read the text and annotate, and I know you guys will find me on the annotations. Some of you won't, but I do still stress it, continue to stress it. Please make sure you annotate, and I don't ask for much, just make sure you highlight words you don't know that are known, and maybe not just sometimes a known, but are strong, right? Strong diction, like grown-up words per se, and then underlining important details, things that stand out to you. That way you have reference points when you do go to those questions. You never know. Number 5, as you read, and I'll stress that, use the dictionary to define words. And again, I know this takes a long time, but we talked about comprehension. If you're not comprehending, there's no way you can do anything else. Okay? So it's very important that we do use our dictionary there and we comprehend. And then last but not least, and I believe I had you guys doing this throughout the year, give yourself a short summary. Summarize what it is that you read, and it's not I'm not asking for a page or two, just beginning, middle, end, right? What happened in the beginning, what happened in the middle, what happened in the end, because you will get questions on this stuff. You will. Okay, so these are the 6 steps that I have for the reading portion. Obviously, after this, you're going to go into questions, and that's where your multiple choice question steps would go into play. But hopefully you guys can see that we've been doing most of these. Maybe some of you can get something out of it. I'd say the most important thing for me is make sure you're using your dictionary. I can't stand over your guys' back and hold you to that. And make sure you're using process of elimination, especially when we're stuck in some questions. And lastly, make sure you are most definitely reading the revise and edit selection. At this point, hopefully you were able to get through all the videos and finish your notes. We will be referencing this foldable for some of the week. For next week, we'll be doing applying the steps. And if you did not finish the Nearpod, please make sure that it is finished by Monday, answering all those questions and, of course, your notes. Hope you guys have a good weekend.